In 1948, the State of Israel was established, which is based on the wandering Jewish people united by a common factor, their religion, a people who claim this territory as it is the land promised by God to Abraham. And in fact, there were some other states here during antiquity before the various diasporas that resulted in Jews being practically everywhere in the world. Even though Judaism is the germ of the Abrahamic religions, there are currently only 14.3 million followers worldwide, largely due to the fact that, unlike Christianity or Islam, there were few states that embraced this faith outside the borders of the Promised Land. Few but not non-existent? Are you interested in knowing 5 of them? Alright, then stay until the end of the video. But before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Believe me, it would help me a lot. The Khazars were one of the many Turkic peoples from the steppes of Central Asia. That is, they would be related to the current Turks and Caicos Islands, Kyrgyzstan Kazakhs, or Azerbaijan. This people would found an independent country in the North Caucasus in the middle of the 7th century, separate from the then Western Turkic Khaganate, a state from which all the Turkic peoples we know today would emerge. The origin of the Khazars is uncertain. Sometimes it is considered that they were born as a separate identity from the rest of the Turks and Caicos Islands after the conversion to Judaism by their elites, which would have occurred around the 8th century. By the way, their conversion to Judaism is also uncertain, but it is known that some adventurers like Danny documented the Jewish customs of this state, who proclaimed themselves as descendants of Simeon, one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Although this state is little known, it had a vital significance, having stopped the Muslim expansion through the Caucasus during the Khazar-Arab Wars, in which the ambition of the Umayyad Caliphate and its successors to increase their power in the Caucasus, one of the entrances to the European continent, was frustrated. Likewise, the Khazars were important allies of the Byzantine Empire against the Hassanid Persians. This allowed them to consolidate as a power that extended during its maximum splendor through southern Russia, western Kazakhstan, and eastern Ukraine, after conquering other Turkic states such as the ancient Great Bulgaria. It is estimated that due to its vast extent, Khazaria would have become a multi-ethnic state that included Slavs and Arabian Peninsula, which in the long run would generate a mix that some consider as the religious and ethnic origin of the Ashkenazis. This Khanate would decline by the middle of the 10th century due to the rise of new powers such as Kievan Rus, as well as the arrival of new Turkic peoples like the Pechenegs. Despite its fall, the Khazar Khanate could be considered the greatest Jewish power outside of the Promised Land. Ethiopia is one of the African countries with the most history. Proof of this is the tremendous ethnic diversity that includes the Beta Israel Ethiopian Jews, of whom the majority have already moved to the current state of Israel. And although this minority of the country only counts with about 10,000 people today, in the distant past it had its own state called the Kingdom of Simen. According to tradition, this state would be founded around the 4th century AD by descendants of the Israelite tribe of Dan, who lived at that time in the Christian kingdom of Aksum, and who, being persecuted by the authorities, would have taken refuge in the Simen Mountains, where they founded their own kingdom. Yes, that's where the name comes from. The Jews of this state were predominantly of the Semitic ethnicity of Hez, although there were also Tigrinya inhabitants. The Kingdom of Simen reached its golden age from the middle of the 9th century, when they managed to expand at the expense of Aksum. Legend tells of Queen Judith, who allegedly ravaged various localities of Aksum with the aim of eliminating the royal family and gaining control over all of Ethiopia, although her existence is questioned. The reigning dynasty of Simen was the House of Gideon, who were said to be related to Zadok, a high priest contemporary with King David, and who is mentioned in the Book of Kings of the Old Testament. Over the centuries, the Jews came to win greater influence within Aksum, but their decline would occur during the 12th century, when they are finally assimilated by the Sakwe dynasty. The Kingdom of Himyar was founded based on the homonymous ethnicity, whose extinct language by the 10th century would have also belonged to the Semitic group to which Arabic and Hebrew belong. To tell the truth, the Himyarites initially followed the pagan Arabian religions. Around the 1st century AD, several inhabitants would convert to Judaism, but the religion did not become official until the rise of King Abu Karib in 390 a time, when polytheistic inscriptions ceased to exist. This kingdom occupied much of present-day Republic of Yemen, and in fact, its capital, Zafar, was very close to the country's capital, Sana'a. In political terms, Himyar achieved its expansion through the conquest of neighboring states, such as the well-known Kingdom of Shaba, which is also frequently mentioned in the Bible. It is understood that the Jewish identity of this kingdom was strengthened after they were able to reject, successfully, some Byzantine attempts to convert the Arabian Peninsula to Christianity, with a clear interest in controlling the south of the region, which was a strategic midpoint for routes to the east via the Red Sea. The decline of Himyar occurs around the 6th century AD, when they are assimilated by the aforementioned Christian kingdom of Aksum, based in present-day Ethiopia. A few decades later, the territory is annexed by the Hassanid Persians, and later by the Arabian Peninsula during the expansion of the First Caliphate. This constant change of dominion over the territory caused the Himyarites to finally disappear as a people by the 10th century, and with them, Judaism in present-day Republic of Yemen. Although the Assyrians do not have their own state today, there are at least 3 million of them scattered between Iraq, Syrian Arab Republic, and Islamic Republic of Iran. In addition to the well-known empires that were formed in antiquity based on this ethnicity, there was also a small kingdom that differed from the rest of the Assyrian states, as it adopted Judaism instead of Christianity. The Kingdom of Adiabene was centered in Erbil, the capital city of present-day Iraqi Kurdistan. And in fact, like several peoples of the Mesopotamia region, Adiabene initially followed the pantheon of Assyrian gods inspired by Mesopotamian mythology, with Azur being the main god. Judaism would not be officially adopted by this state until the 1st century AD. This would occur during the reign of Helena of Adiabene, who, according to the Talmud, made large donations for the maintenance of the Jerusalem temple. Likewise, many Assyrian volunteers would have supported the Jews during the First Judeo-Christian War. Unfortunately, the temple in which the queen invested was destroyed in this conflict after the Jewish defeat. Truth be told, Adiabene was never a 100% autonomous state, as it was a vassal first of the Oporto Empire and then of the Hassanid Persians. By 379 AD, they officially became a province of this latter empire. However, it is estimated that the elites of this state had already abandoned Judaism in favor of Zoroastrianism during the 3rd century. Unlike the rest of the countries on this list, the Jewish Autonomous Oblast is not a state as such, but rather an autonomous subnational entity as indicated by its name. And I say it is because it still exists and is considered one of the 85 federal subjects of the Russia in the Far East District. The creation of a Jewish entity within the then Union of Soviet Socialist Republics was given as a solution to the problems of growing Zionism, which went against the communist vision. So a kind of Soviet Union would be created where a proletarian Jewish culture could emerge. Thus, Stalin, in an attempt to realize the idea of his predecessor Lenin, creates the Jewish Autonomous Oblast only in one of the most remote places of the immense country. Despite this, many Jews from within and outside the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics quickly migrated to this oblast, and in fact, as soon as World War II ended, the Jewish population reached almost a third of the total population. However, the creation of the State of Israel in 1948 motivated many inhabitants of this entity to return to their promised land. As of today, the Oblast has only 190,000 inhabitants, of which only 1.2% are Jewish. That is, currently this entity only continues to carry Judaism in its name. In conclusion, these have been the 5 Jewish states of today. Did you know about them? Do you know of any other country that adopted Judaism as the official religion at some point in history? Don't forget to leave your comment and subscribe to the channel. Also, I leave in the description my social networks, and in case you want to see the new videos in preview and have a greater interaction with me, your donations on Patreon or channel members are welcome. See you next time!